Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Doctor's In. I am your doctor, C.G. Wember. Now, if it's not clear to anyone watching this, I am not a real doctor. Well, I'm a real doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I often liked the line from Treasure Planet when the captain gets hurt. So Treasure Planet is based loosely off of Treasure Island. When the captain's ship gets hurt, and you have the guy who's going along with Jim Hawkins, the doctor of astrophysics, is there who loves to fire the captain. And he's like, man, Jim, I'm not a doctor. It's like, well, I'm a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm not a doctor that's helpful. I often think of that because he can't heal the captain who he loves. If you are bleeding out, I actually do know some stop the bleed medicine, so I could probably help you there. But I'm not a doctor. I'm just a doctor of arts. So I am a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor. But today we are talking something medical, kind of. We're talking about a book that changed my life. Why? It does seem like every book changed my life. But I'm only going to talk to you about books that I either really love or really hate. So this is one that really helped me. And if you're a student, this is one for you. This book can drastically change and help your academic life if you are willing to accept it. So, some disclaimers first. So I did college in a very untraditional way. I took my first 2 degrees from Western Governors University, WGU, and they are a go at your own pace college. So basically you pay for a semester, 6 months, and you can do as many classes as you can, doing one at a time. So you enroll, pay for the semester, and then start class 1, and then go to class 2 as you finish class 3, and you can do as many as you want. So I heard about this, and I'm like, I like to read. Well, let's see what I can do. So my goal was to finish my bachelor's degree in 1 year. And it's funny because I finally look back to people telling me, like, you cannot get a bachelor's in a year. No matter what you think, you can't do it. No, it's a 4-year degree, you're not gonna do it in a year. So I did it in 8 months instead. Basically, I worked car sales during that time, and I'd work in the morning one day, and the night next day, morning one day, night next day. And I was married, but we didn't have kids, and my wife worked during the day. And so if I would work at a late shift, I'd start at 2, so I would basically read all morning long, get up around 7 or 8 and just read. When I came home at night, so that day I would then go to bed when I got home. If it was early shift, I would start at, I think, 8, and get up at 3, and come home, read for a few hours, eat dinner, and go to bed. So I'd spend a lot of time reading. And basically I was doing 1 class a week. The first couple I was doing 2 weeks because my tutor was like, let's see how you do. By the end of it, by within a few classes really, he knew that I knew how prepared I was, so pretty much he let me just go. I'd request something like, hey, I'm ready to take the practice test. Like, great, here you go. Take that, pass it. I'm like, great, I'm ready for the finals test. Like, great, here you go. Set up, go take it. He trusted me, I knew what I was doing, and I just started flying. So super helpful. So did that in 8 months. And then I'm like, well, my wife got pregnant again. So I'm like, well, for the first time. Like, well, I don't really want to go to school with kids. I got my 4-year degree in 8 months. I could probably do a 2-year degree in like 6 months. So my goal was to only pay for 1 semester. And so buckled down, got to work, finished my master's in business administration in 5 months. Great, awesome, done. Proves that doubters are wrong. That business school does have the same accreditation as the UW, University of Washington. So I mean, there's like, it's not just it wasn't an easy program. I've had other people do the same program. They took 1.5 years for the master's. I did in 5 months. I actually coached the kid, so they have their own tutor system, but I coached a kid through their bachelor's program and got him to do it in 5 months as well. Just like, hey, do it this way, go this way, blah, blah. This is what you got to do in order to get it done. And so I know other people have done it fast too. Most people take like 3 years to do the bachelor's degree there. I did 8. I got one kid to do it in 5. Again, it's a lot of work, a lot of reading, a lot of quizzes, a lot of writing. But I mean, it can be done. You just have to buckle down and do it. Then I got teaching. And when I started teaching, I then took on a class that was very heavy in reading. Basically, you got to read 100 to 200 pages a week for our Omni class. And then I was also teaching. We started college, and I was teaching a college class. So I was reading like 120 pages there a week. And then I was also doing, signed up for my doctorate. And I was doing like 150, 250 pages there. So I was reading a lot every week. And going into that summer, getting the summer before that year, I knew that my current reading level was not going to cut it. I knew I was going to have to learn how to read faster, learn how to digest faster, learn how to get through more books and not lose efficiency or understanding. So I started looking at speed reading and whatnot, and up popped an ad on my Facebook of Jim Kwik. Like, hey, and yes, Jim Kwik is his name. Like, hey, here's a free seminar toting my my freshly published book. Take this seminar, and it was like an hour long, and I'll teach you how to speed read. So I took the seminar and I learned some things. I subscribed to his podcast. I learned some more things. I bought his book and I learned even more things. And then I started practicing. And I legit practice his principles. So summertime, I'm a school teacher, so I had summers off. So I spent 8 hours a day for a month. 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for a month, practicing his principles. And it worked. I learned how to read really fast. I learned how, taking his memory principles, I learned how to study really well. I learned how my mind works from him. And I'm going to tell you about it today. So the book is called Limitless. Not at all tied to the movie Limitless, which I thoroughly enjoy. And I think the author is ripping off of that. But Jim Kwik, that is how you spell his name. It is not Kwik like you think. He's an Asian guy. There is a picture of him there. If you can see that, he's Asian, which is why it's spelled that way. But yeah, this book made it so that I could read 500 to 800 pages a week while teaching full time and having a life, kind of a life. Because I was teaching, I was a student, I was doing a lot of things. But I had two and a half kids by that point. 2 and 3 kids. I think Lily was born halfway through the doctorate. I don't actually remember any of those years. They just kind of come back together. It's all a blur. Those years were a blur of pages. Let's just put it that way. But I learned a ton. Weirdly, I can remember most of it, thanks to him. Yeah, so I am super thankful for Jim Kwik in this book. I will take him in this video because I taught this book to my students one year, and to prove to them that it works, I actually read, so it's not a thin book. I think it's 350 pages, 300 pages-ish. So I read this book after I went through it, I think in an hour. I'd already read it before, but I was going to teach an hour and a half class on this book. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna not prep at all until the morning of. And so I reread the whole book that morning, just to say that I did to my students. But I'm super thankful for what this is. And I did not reread it again for this video. I've read it enough times to fit me. I have taken there's lots of good things I don't use in here, but I have taken what I need from him and use it all the time. But there's a nice inside cover, that kind of spells out the steps of this book. But I thought I would just go over some. So the very first section of it is called Free Your Mind. And I understand why he goes into this, is because I have taught students that that this system will never work for. And it'll never work for them because they won't actually try. Now, the human mind is not a muscle. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, but I know that much. It's filled with gray matter. But like everything, so I have like cousins, uncles really, grandma too, who have died from dementia. So grandma I am related to, the uncle was married in, so it's not blood there. But there is dementia in the family. So I've done some research on that. Basically, if it's published by the FDA or any kind of governmental system, I don't trust it whatsoever. So I try to go through actual publishing journals, looking at doctors that go against the flow because they tend to be right more often than not. And while the mind is not a muscle, it does tend to function like one. Meaning the more you work it out, the more you can get it to do. And that is the whole point of the first section, is really working out the mind and learning how to make the mind work for you. The brain can do more than you think it can. And Jim Kwik gives his story, which he has a fantastic story about this. He actually had brain damage from an accident as a kid. So he had to rewire his own mind to make it work. I died. I had some brain damage from that, but you couldn't really tell. But I had to relearn some things and learn how to push my mind again. But I have never believed that intelligence is something that's set from birth. Intelligence is something that can grow. You can make your IQ more, which is the whole point of the first section. Second section, the limitless mindset. So he then dispels the 7 lies of learning. And those 7 lies are, the print is small, my eyes are getting old. Intelligence is fixed. We only use 10% of our brains. Mistakes are failures. Knowledge is power. Learning new things is difficult. The criticism of people matters. Genius is born, not made. So he talks through each one of those, dispelling them. Because they're taking on their face. All of those are lies. And he breaks it down, and I completely agree with him. Then he talks about motivation. So how can you actually get your body and brain to do more? So he gets into diet, exercise, figuring out your own purpose, and really working to figure out what he calls the flow, which a lot of people have called flow. So getting into the workflow. So like I know, and everyone's workflow is different, so you have to find your own. But I know that if I want to get the most things done that are hard to do, that the best time my mind works is from about 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. If I could actually have that 5-hour chunk of the day to just work on things, I would be getting a lot more done in my life. Currently, I teach from about 8 to 3. So if I want to get any of that portion of hours, I have to go before I start teaching at 8 a.m. Just to shower and get ready part. So if I get up at 5, between 4 and 5, I get 2.5 to an hour and a half of good mental focus time. And I don't do that very often because I have 5 kids, and the youngest 2 are 7 months and a year and a half. And I'm tired all the time. I don't get to sleep all that much. But it's fine. This is just the time of my life. There was many years that I would get before and work those hours, and I'll get back to that sometime when I'm actually sleeping through the night. Right now is not that time. But getting the flow is a real thing. Then he gets into actually the method and working on memory. And interestingly, I totally taught this memory trick to students before, and then that same student one of my students that I taught then went to college, and in college their professor taught them again, and they came back from college and were like, hey, they just taught us this really cool memory thing. I'm like, great, I taught you that 3 years ago. They're like, no you didn't. I'm like, yes I did, you just forgot. And it's fine. That is the nature of learning, is you do forget things, which is why humans should not just read, they should reread. So the memory palace thing, so Jim Kwik has done TED Talks and stuff where he will be up there and asking for 100 different random words, just like, give me a word, give me a word, give me a word, give me a word. And then he goes and recites them forward and backwards. And he can do that because he's used to making mind palaces, so he makes basically a story in his head walking through, associating the words through the walk. And he can then go back and recall them perfectly because he walks to the house. It's a really cool exercise. It totally works. It works well for giving speeches, which I don't do that. I actually just need some bullet points, and I can actually do a pretty good job of knowing where I want to go. So I don't do that portion of it because it actually is more work for me to do that than to just go. So I don't do that kind of thing. Finally, he does teach you how to speed read, which I will give you my favorite tool for speed reading. Well, I'm on a video, so I can't actually give it to you, but I can show you my favorite tool. And someday I'll actually do a video on this particular thing, because I actually love these things a lot. But this right here is a classic Parker Jotter pen, Jotter. I love these pens. They write well. They have a really satisfying click. Now, my crazy fourth grade teacher introduced me to these in fourth grade, and I had one in fourth grade, and it lasted me a long time. And then I bought one when I was in car sales. It's a blue one. I have it at home, and I've had that one for about 10 years. I've had this one for about 4. I bought this one in a set of this one. Let's see, this one, a blue. So a red one, a blue one, and a silver one. And the silver one's a pencil, and I really like the pencil too. But here's why I really like it. So you can get different color inks. So this one is now a red ink, and my blue one at home is now green. My other one actually, sadly, doesn't happen often, but the ink cartridge here, because I carry them in my pocket, must have gotten smashed, and it blew up inside the clicking mechanism. And now I'm giving you my whole video, I'm sorry. Anyway, I had one that got toast. But I love these pens. I love them for 2 reasons. They are the right length for my hand. So part of speed reading is you follow along with the words, because your eyes will actually track a moving object really well. So your eyes track the pen moving, and they'll actually take in the words and group them. So you don't read words, you read lines or paragraphs, and your mind can actually, once you train it, will group them into sentences to make sense. So I have a really hard time perfectly recalling sentences to people anymore, because I actually remember the page, and so it's like my mind buffers, like, okay, well, this and this and this and this and this, and I'm like, okay, I took this all in about 10 seconds, and how can I distill that into 3 minutes of talking? It's like, da, 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 and then I can go. But I really appreciate that. But the back end of all Parkers are smooth. So there's no friction when I'm falling on the page, which I really like, and then it's the right length of my hand, so I don't get the ink on my hand anymore. And then I can quickly flip it over and make highlights and notes. So I'm doing this flipping business a lot while I'm reading, because I take notes as I go. That's a long and unuseful digest of how to speed read. You should really listen to Jim Kwik on it, because I learned it from him. He's really good at doing it. He's really good at teaching it. So, and honestly, if you want to learn it for free, go get his podcast and listen to the first 10 episodes. It's all on there. It's about 10 episodes. They're each about 20 to 30 minutes long, so 4 to 6 hours long. But you can learn how to speed read just from listening to him. He has videos on YouTube that you can also do. Or, you can support him and buy his book. It goes through it as well, which is what I would encourage you to do, because I love books. And then he gets into actually how to think. So I read a book called Six Thinking Hats that he references in here as well, and goes through the 6 hats as well. Just a helpful way to break things down on how to approach a problem. But yeah, so this book looks like this. Limitless, Jim Kwik, allowed me to get my doctorate, teach a college class, and that was heavily had a lot of reading, and a high school class had a lot of reading, all at the same time, without losing my mind and being able to sleep sometimes. So I know it works. Now, I also know that there's plenty of doctors out there that say it's a gimmick, it's not true, you don't get much out of it, you don't truly understand it, there's no way your mind can do all that, all you're doing is getting a brief overview, blah, blah, blah. You know what? those who fight for their limitations get to keep them. I don't know where I heard that from, but I love that saying with people. And if anyone ever comes to me about something like this and be like, that can't happen, I will always say that back to them. I can't make you expand your mind. I can lead a horse to water. I can't make you drink. If you want to be a better reader, if you want to make your mind work better, if you want to be more efficient, try. Give it an honest try. Again, I took 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for a month to do it. So that's a lot of time. So 160 hours to get it to where I could do it well. So it doesn't take no work. It takes a lot of work. But by doing that, I have quadrupled my input and output. So you tell me, is a month worth of work worth being able to do 4 times as much? I would say yes. Yeah, so if you want to say it's not possible, good on you, man. You can stay how you are. I prefer to work more efficiently. So you're not going to hurt my feelings by saying that it's not possible. I'm just going to take my Parker and go keep reading because I love it and I love being able to do more. So if you want to doubt, go for it. If you want to be able to read more, get the book and do it. Massively helpful. I love it. I will always be appreciative of Jim Kwik and the work and the words he put in this book. So I am not a medical doctor. I do trust the research Jim has done. He gives a lot of anecdotes on people he's helped. He's helped a lot of people. On the front cover, Will Smith even endorses him because he helped Will Smith be able to memorize movie lines, apparently. I don't know. Don't really care. I'm not a huge Will Smith fan. He's fine. Fresh Prince, I grew up watching, but I mean, whatever. He may have peaked in Men in Black and iRobot. Hitch was actually pretty good too. But I mean, Jim Kwik has thoroughly helped me. I pray that he'll help you if you will give it a chance. Again, it takes work. You have to put in the effort, but it's worth it if you'll do it. So go do it. Go work hard. It is worth it. So with that, not your medical doctor is out.